And thank you to our viewers for indulging us as we're switching our camera as well as setting up properly. Certainly, there are live visuals of vehicles that are entering this particular village, Mbaula village. There's also ululations that are coming across from community members who are quite relieved for the moment that there is a visit by President Cyril Ramaphosa in their community. As you can see, they're led by vehicles of the South African Police Service there, and there's a huge amount of children that are cheering on its side. And these are children who are affected by the fact that they are not able to go to school at this particular time. So certainly these are the visuals that are coming out. You can see some of them running and cheering on as this visit is certainly about to unfold. And we saw that there were several choppers, one blue in color, one white in color, and an emergency health services chopper also making landing here at the small community of Mbaula. As you can see, many children here are excited, of course, that the president of the country, President Cyril Ramaphosa, is in their area. They are now going to take the president into that segment, that section of Mbaula that I mentioned to our viewers was one of the places where there was it was completely flattened, right, by the heavy rainfall that was persisting at Mbaula village. This is where they're bringing the president. It's not far also from the Mbaula river that was flooded, resulting in a child being swept away by the strong current. I'm going to try and move away from the noise because the children are cheering, happy that, of course, the little ones, that the president is in their vicinity. They're trying to disperse them so that the vehicles can certainly move and allow President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is joined by Limpopo Premier Dr. Poppy Ramathuba, the MEC there for Kokta, Mr. Basikopo Makamu. I'm also laying my eyes on the ANC Provincial Secretary General, that is Mr. Ruben Madaje. There's, of course, the spokesperson there for the presidency that you're seeing in front of the vehicle there, Mr. Vincent Magwenya. So this visit is certainly quite important to sort of provide, clarity as to what next, what will happen. And these are the leaders entering the vicinity of the area, the section of Mbaula village there that I mentioned was the hardest hit. And of course, these are the live visuals that we are bringing to our viewers. We are also moving then to the area that is deemed the worst affected within the Mbaula village, just a few meters away from the river that in itself was heavily flooded. The president has certainly arrived. We have seen that situation where the choppers landed in the area, and it appears that there will also be a briefing that is about to take place. The president currently there being briefed by the MEC for Kokta in Limpopo, Basikopo Makamu. We see that the Premier of Limpopo, Dr. Poppy Ramathuba, is with them, and there is that briefing. There is also Minister Kumbuzo Nchabeni and the ANC Secretary General of in the Limpopo province, Mr. Madaje, who are currently receiving that briefing right now from the MEC of Kokta, Mr. Basikopo Makamu. We are not certain what he is currently saying, but he's pointing out to some of the parts that he's aware of, that he was briefed by communities that were quite hardest hit. So we will at any moment then conduct a doorstop interview where we expect to perhaps get answers to questions that we've been raising as to what happens then in the interim to assist those that have been affected, that have been negatively affected by this particular rainfall. I'm going to try and move away from the noise as we monitor the possibility of a doorstop interview. I'm not sure in studio if viewers can also bear with us. There is a bit of noise, and if we are not clear, please indicate to me. However, right now this is what we are seeing for the viewers. Maybe let me hand it back to you.
Katlaho, I'm wondering if we're able to actually get closer so we can hear what briefing the MEC is giving to the president. Are we able to get our mic in there and listen?
Let's attempt to get our microphone in there. We're told that they will be briefing. We'll get an indication from Mr. Vincent Magwenya as to that particular possibility of putting a microphone in there. Perhaps let's try and see whether or not we will succeed following this preliminary report that President Cyril Ramaphosa is receiving from the MEC of Kokta here in Limpopo, and we will then try to conduct that doorstop interview. As you can see, surrounded by villagers, by locals in the area that are quite excited, really, forgetting briefly the situation that really affects them and affects them in terms following rather those heavy flooding. We also want to find out regarding any form of rescue efforts that are currently taking place, not only in Mbaula after the 4-year-old boy was swept away, but in general, because we are not certain yet, we've not been provided official figures by authorities of the overall death toll. As things stand, we've only been informed of just a single death that has occurred. We are certainly also trying to move our microphone closer to try and find out what the briefing in the preliminary stage is about, but we can safely say that the president is also being informed about the level of devastation, the houses that have been flooded, the 4-year-old boy who was swept away, and the mother that's really recovering in a hospital in Palabora. There seems to be movement. The president is moving to a different section of this area. We are going to be following the president as he moves. There's that doorstop taking place. We're going to get our microphone and throw a microphone. Just bring your
Okay, guys, the President will just give a brief summation of his visit. Because of time, we won't be able to be too long. We'll take only 2 questions. We have to leave because of the weather. Mr. President.
Yeah, we've just seen the catastrophic damage that has been caused here. We started off in the Vembe district, where we saw how a number of houses were flooded and how people have lost their possessions with the huge rains that have been raining in this part of our country. And now here in the Mopane district, it's even much worse, because right here where we are, there are 36 houses that have just been wiped away from the face of the earth. Everything is gone. The roofs, the walls, the furniture, and one 5-year-old child has also passed away. This saddens us because the loss of life is always something that is really devastating and should be devastating to all of us. Notwithstanding all that, I'm pleased to know that the community, as well as our municipality and our provincial government, have been doing everything they can to assist the people who've been affected by these floods. The rains have been pouring down. They tell me that more than 400 millimeters of rain has come down in just a short space of time since Sunday. So this is a devastation that we had never expected. And of course, In the Vembe area, some of the people are very close to the river, but here the river has broken its banks completely and went way beyond what you would normally have thought is the general flow of the river. So 36 houses gone, and it's affected 85 households. And those people were initially taken into a school, but they've now all been farmed or taken into relatives' homes. And we are grateful for that, because the solidarity and the cooperation that we have seen amongst our people here is quite amazing. We've also heard how one person was thoughtful enough and threw a rope to people who were stranded, and they tied each other around the rope and they pulled each other out of what could have been certain death. So we are really grateful that that type of innovation, even in a time of great danger, was possible, and it happened. So number of lives that could have been lost here have been saved. And we're grateful to ordinary people, and we've got one of our traditional leaders here. It also needed to be saved, and we're glad that he and his family have been saved. And he says it was the effort largely of community members and, of course, our South African Air Force that came out, their helicopters, and rescued a number of people from rooftops and from trees. So that pleases us, because it shows that our response to disaster is getting better and better, both at the institution level like the South African Air Force, Defense Force, and also at local government level. Our councillors are on the ground, and of course our various other political organizations are on the ground and mobilizing people. The ANC has been on the ground and mobilizing many of its leaders and members to assist those who are in need. And provincial government
All right, we'll circle back to that briefing there by the president, and let's listen in fact it's back.
Are now devastating because of the floods. We've been able to find a response, and of course we need to do a little bit more in terms of the way we construct roads so water can flow a lot easier, because this is a flat area and it therefore requires our roads to allow water to flow, and it's going to require quite a bit of engineering, and this time around I think we will need to look at engineering solutions so that when there are devastating floods like this, we should be able to cope. But the saddest part is the 36 houses that have been wiped away. There's not a single house that I see here. There were houses, and even the foundations are gone. Everything is gone. So this is a real catastrophe. But our people will be taken care of. They've been the records, the details of every household and every person are now being gathered, and we will be making sure that they are taken care of, even as some of them have gone to their relatives' homes. Government is going to help them to rebuild their lives. Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Thank you.
We'll take two questions, colleagues, because of time. Muluko and SABC. Muluko.
Thank you, Mr. President. Muluko Mloto announced that the 5-year-old unfortunately has perished, who was missing. Other parts of the province. But a quick and final question relates to the allegations made by the former minister in your cabinet, Mr. Dion George, who says that one of your ministers, John Steenhuisen, is essentially captured by criminal elements. He said this when he announced his resignation.
We are here. We are mourning. We are mourning here. And the community is here. These community people are very saddened and they want to hear what we are going to do to help them. So let's focus on the disaster that has happened here. Please, let's do that.
President Cyril Ramaphosa from SABC News, when can we anticipate some form of a report that will be able to tell us really about the extent of the damage, including some of the financial implications? We've seen bridges being literally washed off in vast parts of this territory.
Well, the Premier, as I arrived, the Premier was telling me that they are collating all the information. People who either have gone missing or have passed away, and the damage that has been caused to their households, and the damage caused to roads and to bridges. So all that is being collated. And once it is collated, it will be properly analyzed. And as you know, the Premier does believe in transparency. All that will be made transparent and will be announced to everyone. The devastation is not only here in Mopani, it also extends to the
President Cyril Ramaphosa, they're still briefing the reporters. The president, they're still briefing the reporters about the situation in the Mopani district where he is, and hopefully the network is able to hold, because as we've heard about the issues of infrastructure, in fact, when it comes to that particular area and how even 36 houses, as he says, have been wiped away, they're now trying to even ascertain as to whether or not are the people who would have gone missing, and also trying to quantify the extent of this damage.
The damage, by the way, the president has described as catastrophic. His visit to Limpopo today started in the Bembe district, where he says people have lost their possessions, as you can imagine. But the situation in the Mopani district, where he was just speaking, he says is notably worse. As Bongi was saying, you've got those 36 houses, which, in the president's words, will be wiped away altogether. The reason why some of the damage in Mopani is so extreme is that a river in the community burst its banks. Now, in speaking to people in Limpopo here on SABC News for much of this week, there are communities that have basically been experiencing rain from Thursday. This was last Thursday, so today would be exactly a week since it started raining in some of those areas. And as we speak tonight, there is in fact a red level 10 warning for more rain over the next 24 hours.
And also, as we bring you the live visuals there, hopefully, there is, of course, another province that is also impacted, and that is Mpumalanga. And we do understand that the Kokta MEC, Speedy Mashilo, will also be visiting the Nkomazi municipality there. And in Mpumalanga, for example, you're looking at damage around bridges, overflowing, roads badly damaged. Some schools have already been closed till next week, with some houses collapsing in Louisville, and some houses also waterlogged in Mangweni. Water supply disruption as water pumps also submerged, and a number of villages at the moment have no water. This, as we get it from Cyril Ramaphosa, Nkomazi spokesperson, who is giving a sense of, just in another province, the extent of the devastation, as the president is looking at this particular other province of Limpopo, which now we understand a child has also lost his life, and they was trapped, in fact, with the mother on a tree. He could not, unfortunately, hold on to anything and was swept away, but the mother survived.
All right, SABC News reporter Katlego Nyoni, as you can hear, trying to make contact with us. Katlego, if you're able to hear me, we actually lost our connection to you as the president was answering your questions regarding when we're likely to get a clearer sense of the extent of the damage and perhaps the related cost. What was his response?
The president, they're quoting that they are quite saddened by the fact that there are 36 households that have been completely damaged as a result of this particular flooding. Also mentioning a single death that has been recorded, saying that one death is too many, and that also going into the rainfall prediction that at this particular stage has been predicted to end on Sunday. As you can see there next to Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, as well as the Premier of Limpopo, Dr. Poppy Ramathuba. I'm also seeing the MEC there for Kokta, as well as Major General Jan Skeepers of the Limpopo South African Police Service. They have just come to this particular area as a further stop in their mission to assess the extent of the damage. When asked when we can anticipate a report that also holds financial implications regarding the overall cost that it will take to fix these bridges and fix the damaged infrastructure. The president saying that they have trust in the provincial government, but also they're thanking the South African Air Force, saying that they have really managed to assist rescue some people that were trapped in rivers and streams that experienced heavy rainfall. So as you can hear, there are loud cheers right now from the community members of Mbaula village who are excited. I want to speak to you as a community member here. Walk with me. I want to speak to you as a community member here. The president has just come into your area. How are you assessing the president's visit?
My brother, I've never seen something like this in my entire life. People, they were saying 2000 disaster was a disaster, but ever since I was born, now I'm 40, I've never experienced something like this. This is the real disaster that I've seen in my entire life. The chief himself, he spent 7 hours on the ceiling from 2 a.m. in the morning, waiting for the whole community to come and help him. Like ever since, I've never experienced something like this in 40 that I have right now. This is the first time I experienced. Okay, I've seen the rain for 2000. I'm a victim of the house that were falling. There were 3 houses falling in my apartment or where I'm staying.
But currently, talk to our viewers about how this area was impacted by this heavy rainfall. You've had an address there from President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that they are here to assist. So what do you make of the president's visit? And talk to me about the level of impact of this rainfall in your area.
I appreciate everything and the effort that the president has made. This is the first time we experience something like this. And for the fact that the president has made the effort to come here and visit our side, this is a history in the making, despite the heavy rains or something. We've never seen or experienced something like this. This is the first time we experience like heavy rain beside like 2000 rain. This is something else. Yeah, and due to the chief survival and something, is a story and a history in the making.
All right, thank you very much. That's a gentleman from this area. They're talking to us about the level of excitement he is currently feeling now that President Cyril Ramaphosa is in his area to come and observe as well as conduct an assessment. He was joined there by the Premier of Limpopo, the MEC for Kokta, Basikopa Makamu, and the Premier there, Dr. Popi Ramatuba, as well as other leaders, really to come and see for themselves firsthand the level of destruction. They arrived here early after having traveled to other parts that were affected, of course, by these terrible conditions, these terrible weather conditions. Tembekile.
Katlehonyoni, thank you very much for that. SABC News reporter in Mbaula village, that's in Limpopo, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has just left, traveling with the Minister, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, as well as the Premier of Limpopo, Popi Ramatuba, to see firsthand some of the damage caused by floods in Limpopo this week. We know in this particular district, Mupani, 36 homes, according to the President, wiped away, and 1 child has died.